I get it. When you're looking at a 24-inch wine fridge, you're probably standing in the aisle, eyeing the sleek stainless steel door and wondering if you're about to make a smart addition to your home bar or just spending a chunk of cash on a gadget you'll barely use. Maybe you've already got a few bottles on the counter and the idea of a dedicated cooler sounds tempting, but the fear of buying the wrong size or the wrong type keeps you stuck. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through the real-world considerations so you can decide whether the Tylza 24-inch dual-zone wine cooler is worth the space on your floor and the money in your wallet. First off, the biggest draw is the dual-zone system. One side stays cooler for whites and Ross, the other stays a touch warmer for reds. That sounds perfect on paper, but the question is whether you actually need two temperature zones. If your collection is split, say you keep a few crisp Sauvignon Blancs for summer and a handful of full-bodied Cabernets for winter, this model lets you store them side by side without constantly adjusting the thermostat. In my own setup, I use the lower zone for a rotating selection of whites I serve with dinner, while the upper zone is a mini library of reds I pull out on weekends. The fridge remembers the temperature you set, so you don't have to recalibrate after you open the door a few times. The memory function just snaps back to the last saved setting. Capacity is another practical point. The spec sheet says 180 bottles, and that's not just a marketing number. In practice, the shelves are adjustable, and you can stack standard 750 milliliters bottles fairly tightly if you need to, though you'll have to give up a few slots for larger magnums or oddly shaped bottles. For anyone with a growing collection, think a serious hobbyist, a small home-based tasting club, or a couple who likes to keep a variety on hand. The 180 bottle capacity means you won't be forced to purge a favorite after a few months. If you only keep a dozen bottles for occasional weekend sipping, the unit will feel like a glorified sideboard, and you'll be paying for space you'll never fill. Now, let's talk about the compressor and cooling performance. Tylza uses a professional compressor paired with a fan system that promises fast cooling and low noise. In a real-life test, I filled the fridge with room temperature bottles and set the white zone to 50 F. Within about an hour, the internal sensor reported the zone hitting target temperature, and after the initial chill, the hum was barely audible above a normal kitchen fan. That's a big win for open-plan living, where a loud motor could become a distraction during a movie night or dinner party. The no-fog claim also holds up. The glass door stays clear, which is handy when you're pulling a bottle out in low light. Ventilation is a hidden trade-off that often catches new owners off guard. Like most thermoelectric or compressor-based wine coolers, the Tylza needs a few inches of breathing room on the back and sides. If you're planning to slot it into a built-in cabinet, make sure there's at least a half-inch clearance for airflow, otherwise you'll notice the temperature fluctuating more than advertised. In a freestanding setup, placing it near a heat source like a stove or a sunny window can make the compressor work harder, which might raise the noise level slightly and increase energy draw. Energy consumption is another practical angle. The unit runs on a standard 110V outlet and, thanks to the compressor's efficiency, it stays in the low single-digit watts range when it's idle. For a household that's conscious about power bills, that's a reasonable baseline, especially compared to older models that used less efficient compressors and would cycle on and off more often. The worry-free service Tylza advertises translates into a straightforward 2-year warranty and responsive customer support, something I've heard from a few fellow owners on forums. It's not a lifetime guarantee, but the peace of mind of a hassle-free return or repair window is worth noting. Who should definitely consider this fridge? If you're a wine enthusiast who enjoys pairing meals with a specific bottle, if you host tasting nights where you need both reds and whites at their ideal temps, or if you're building a home bar and want a sleek, stainless steel piece that can double as a conversation starter, the Tylza hits the sweet spot. Its dual zone, sizable capacity, and quiet operation make it a functional centerpiece rather than just an appliance you hide in a pantry. On the flip side, there are clear cases for skipping it. If you live in a tiny studio apartment with limited floor space, the 24-inch footprint plus the necessary ventilation clearance can be a deal-breaker. If your collection is modest, say under 30 bottles, you'll likely be overpaying for capacity you'll never use. And if you're looking for a portable wine cooler you can take to picnics or road trips, the built-in style,